We're here with Jeff Patrick, Chief Scientific Officer of Nutriband, stock symbol NTRB on the NASDAQ. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you, Todd. Pleasure to see you again, and looking forward to talking about the exciting times at Nutriband.
Thank you. It was truly a pleasure meeting in person, getting to see you speak about the process of making opioids safer with your Aversa platform. Why don't you tell the audience today a little bit about your background and your history with Aversa and preventing opioid abuse?
Absolutely. So I'm a clinical pharmacist, which is a PharmD degree, as well as residency trained, and I saw patients for a couple of years before joining the industry. I've since been in the industry on the innovator side for over 20 years. And in fact, part of that time I spent working on abuse-deterrent technology in the opioid space. So I'm very familiar with the space and many of the thought leaders in the space. And when I had the opportunity to join as the Chief Scientific Officer of Nutriband and really bring a novel, first-in-class, best-in-class transdermal technology that can, in fact, help improve the risk profile of abuse for opioids, I was delighted to have the opportunity, and I think we've got exciting times ahead.
I would happen to agree. You've got a top partner in the industry, 3M Drug Delivery, a spun-off Kindeva, who's now taken this project on and achieved some recent milestones on the production capacity side. So that was a nice news release.
Absolutely. So that's right. The expertise that Kindeva Drug Delivery brings to the table is paramount. We've got a first-in-kind technology, right? It's very complex. It's multifactorial. And in order to develop that and to enable that to be commercially scalable and ready for human use, it takes expertise. It takes a lot of technical development and work. And we've been working with them. And as you saw in a recent public press release, we indicated that we've actually improved the abuse-deterrent technology characteristics, and that's a significant advancement. So we're continuing to make substantial progress on this novel technology. We look forward to continuing that and ultimately moving it towards clinical application.
No question about it. I know there was an update from the CDC that's very important. This was 2016. They put on some pretty harsh measures to try to curb abuse. Doctors have had a hard time, though, sometimes treating patients now. Maybe you can explain a little bit about this update with the CDC and how it applies.
Yes, and we're so grateful they did. Everybody in the pain management community is, I think, very thrilled about this update. The 2016 guidelines, the previous version, frankly, was misapplied in many situations. And the end product of that was that pain patients, chronic pain patients, ultimately had experiments taken against them where patients' doses were rapidly tapered or discontinued, or artificial limitations were put in place that really was never the intention of the 2016 guidances. And I believe the 22 update does a lot to reverse that. In fact, they warn against things like rapid tapering or rapid dose adjusting. And so while certainly appropriate opioid pain management is always front and center on patient safety, but on the flip side, we can't certainly subject patients to unnecessary restrictions or really dangerous management styles like rapid tapering when it can be harmful to the patient. So we're very excited about that. And we believe Aversa fits very nicely. Our abuse-deterrent technology for transdermal products fits nicely into that guidelines. Importantly, we think not only does the Aversa technology stand to be the first and only transdermal abuse-deterrent technology in the space of opioid management, it actually has the chance to address a component that's specifically mentioned in the new guidances, which is the fact that most existing approved abuse-deterrent technologies really don't have the opportunity to prevent abuse by the oral route of administration. We believe Aversa has a strong potential to impact the oral route of administration and frankly, other non-medical use routes for transdermal opioid products or abuse risk products. So yeah, we're very excited about the guidances. Clinicians, I believe, will be relieved that the draconian measures that were really put into place by the 2016 misapplication hopefully will be removed, and clinicians will be allowed to manage patients as recommended on an individual basis, appropriately cautious around instituting or using opioids, but also appropriately managing patients who really shouldn't be subjected to rapid tapering and things of that measure. So that's what we're excited about. And again, we think Aversa fits nicely into it as an abuse-deterrent technologies for those pain patients who need transdermal pain medications.
Exciting time for you guys, and more importantly, I'd have to say it's very impressive. I don't know when you first came up with the concept behind Aversa if you thought you could get to partner with such a big group, the Kindiva, who's now with 3M, formerly 3M Drug Delivery, a spinoff, and one of the leaders in the space. I know you spoke a little bit about the market size of, they have currently a FDA-cleared product, and it was a huge market back in 2016 before, and now with potentially implementing some of the improvements with Aversa, do you think they could get back to some of those bigger numbers again?
So that's a challenge. We really don't know what to expect from the market. We do know that the 2016 guidelines sought to reduce the size of the opioid market in an attempt to reduce overdose and deaths, right? What happened was there was a subsequent drop in all of the prescription-based opioid markets, only to find an increase in opioid deaths. So that those two measures didn't go together. And so what we find now is that clinicians will be more readily able to manage opioid pain patients appropriately. And we think this technology, again, fits squarely in there. And to your point, we couldn't have picked a better partner than Kindiva Drug Development. When you're developing any new technology, as Aversa is the first and stands to be the only abuse-deterrent technology in the transdermal space, to develop something like that from the ground up really takes a lot of technical expertise and a lot of work. And so we've been in the feasibility development process with Kindiva, and as you saw in the press release earlier this year, we've made advances on really how the aversive technology, the characteristics of that, and it's a multifactorial technology, and it really is comprehensive in its design. And you know, this technology is patented in 44 countries around the world. And we just got the Canadian update early this year, so that may convert to the 45th, and then we have a couple more on the way. So this is a global technology that really stands to impact abuse deterrence or impact abuse around the world relative to the transdermal space.
Very exciting. Yeah, Kindiva allowing you to talk about the update, the progress, and the potential to bring back the product now to their main facility of production in California after extensive testing. Certainly is exciting, and you know, a big part of the step to move to the clinic, as I would assume. Maybe you could walk us through the process once you are producing these for the clinic. How does the study work, and what could we expect from there?
So the agencies provided some guidance to us back when the technology was owned by 4P Therapeutics, which Nutriband acquired, and in that guidance provided to 4P, they said basically an existing fentanyl patch, which Kindiva has, with our technology now applied to it, Aversa technology applied, would really need to be subjected to what's called a human abuse liability study. And that is a carefully controlled design where experienced recreational drug abusers are exposed to either a technology which has abuse deterrence or a basic generic fentanyl patch, which no existing fentanyl patch has any abuse deterrent technology in place. So compared head to head in a blinded fashion, those who are experienced in recreational abuse would put it to the test and identify whether or not the abuse deterrence was in fact created a diversion or not. And we strongly believe that there will be a substantial differentiation between our abuse deterrent technology and a basic fentanyl patch simply by the placement of our technology on it. So yes, that would be the next step once we get through the manufacturing feasibility and we feel comfortable, and Kindiva Drug Development feels comfortable, we can move it into commercial scale of manufacturing. That's exactly what we would do. We would work towards conducting that phase 1 trial of human abuse liability and then demonstrating what the patch can do when someone attempts to abuse it by a non-medical route of administration. And then in addition to the human abuse liability study, there will be several technical analyses on how the abuse deterrent technology performs. We would conduct those as well in parallel effort to demonstrate that it's not easily scratched off or removed or any of those types of outcomes when subjected to common measures to defeat the abuse deterrent technology. So all of that's been planned out. We expect to begin executing on those trials within the next 12 months or so. Again, we need to get through the feasibility. We're well on our way. And again, the press release pointed to that fact. So assuming we continue to make that type of great progress with Kindeva Drug Development leading with your expertise and really helping us move toward a clinical product, we look forward to continuing the road towards full ultimate FDA approval and human abuse liability study completion.
Very good, Jeff. And, we really appreciate the work you're doing. We know this is a major problem. Essentially, over 100,000 deaths in 2021. Hopefully, that starts to curb. That was a tough time with COVID. But this is a major ordeal for Big Pharma, too. The Sackler family has offered billions in settlement potential on prior opioid abuse cases. So clearly this is important. I think it's important to Kindeva to have a safe product out there. They do have an FDA-cleared product, but they would always want to make it safer. So we're really thankful for the work you guys are doing. Maybe you could speak to the study they required a little bit about, the viability study, third party, and what that meant, what they talked about as far as potential sales and the market this could penetrate.
Sure. And to be clear, that analysis that was conducted really was to evaluate what was the potential market size of the fentanyl product market with the aversive technology. And the range in that on a 5-year estimate was between $80 and $200 million in sales just in a single fentanyl application. It's important to understand the Aversa technology really is a portfolio product. We certainly anticipate applying it to other product markets. For example, and also mentioned in the CDC opioid prescribing guidance is buprenorphine is another transdermal product that's used in not only in pain management, but also in helping patients who have abuse risks and managing opioid abuse syndrome. So in those situations where we clearly have a high-risk patient population, having an abuse-deterrent buprenorphine product, which you may have heard referred to as Butrans, as a branded product in that space, that market is actually growing quite a bit. And so fentanyl is an extremely high risk, and we want to address that first. But following that, we fully intend to have Aversa applied to several other products that each carry a risk of abuse or misuse or diversion on into CNS products like methylphenidate, which is a treatment for abuse ADHD, and so that also carries a risk of abuse. So again, this is a platform product. We'll be starting with fentanyl, and again, the range on that was estimated to be a sales range of 80 to 200 million. But when you think about the other product markets, the size of the buprenorphine market and the ADHD markets, those are substantial as well. And again, this is a global product. We have global IP, so there's no reason to think that we couldn't apply this to multiple markets around the world and multiple products.
No question. The buprenorphine really struck me as something extremely important because I know there's a lot of money and time being spent by the government, by the FDA and CDC trying to stop problems, and you have people trying to function that have addiction problems. A methadone clinic essentially was a safe way for them, a safer way to get high, but they're still getting high. You have products here where 3M originally developed the technology for slow release. It can, provide the ability to not have withdrawal, but not necessarily going out there and getting high. So people could potentially function with these buprenorphine options. And if you can make them abuse deterrent, that would be, I think, an incredible opportunity to have a much better option for addicts trying to lead a good life. So, we really appreciate the work. Maybe you could sum up overall, this process, this whole journey, how it's been for you, and where you see this going forward.
It's been a fantastic and exciting journey, and really the last year we really begin to see the momentum of Nutriband in all of its business units that actually are aimed at helping support the Aversa platform. And so all of the business areas are growing. All of that is helping contribute to Aversa. We've got the most expert partner we can in this space in Kindeva Drug Development to help us bring a first and only novel abuse deterrent technology that we think, again, squarely fits in the CDC prescribing guidelines and ultimately, frankly, stands to address a gap that even they recognize, and that is trying to reduce abuse by the oral route of administration. So this is a platform technology. Frankly, every opioid should have some type of abuse deterrent technology in our mind. And this platform technology stands to improve the risk profile of several agents that are transdermal products that carry the risk of abuse or misuse or diversion, or even accidental exposure. So all of those are beneficial to the patient population. And that's what we're trying to do here, is really shift the balance of risk and benefit profiles. Where patients are adequately managed, the risk profile of the product is reduced. And if that we're able to accomplish that, and we are confident we will, it's going to be exciting times for Nutriband.
Not a doubt in my mind. I really appreciate the time today, Jeff. Congratulations on these great associations you've been able to make, the study that came out, and this is just an exciting time. I believe a lot in your company, and you know we really are excited for the future and getting some results as they come forth. So,
thank you very much. It's very exciting times. We look forward to the future.